So yesterday there was a beautiful diak. It looks like from the Tzemach Tzedek. I want you to repeat it to me. First of all, the diak is tzadikim gemurim. That the makim shebal yeshuva imdim, where the Baal Tshuva stands even at tzadik gomor. So what's the diak? Not just stam tzadik, but tzadik gomor. It's halachic. It's connected to halacha, truma, and kodesh. You'll find it by the number 43 in the text. That's where he speaks of it. What was he masbir? First point is while tzaddik gom was to convey what? We're asking for the guys that just joined here to repeat yesterday's diuk in tzaddikim gemurim. What's the diuk of Gomer, not stam tzaddik, but Gomer, and how he explains that the pratis with respect to truma and kodesh. So it's in the Maimer, by the number 43 in the text. It starts there. Actually, starts 42. Balzeh Omer Chazal. It's all to explain the Avodah Yetzias Mitzrayim, why that's a prerequisite, and the klal to all of Yiddishkeit.
The concept of tzaddikim gemurim.
So what's the dik of Gomer? Yeah, what?
Relates to the idea of a keli gomer.
A keli. So therefore, it's the first thing that's being conveyed.
That the tzaddik still needs to do tshuva, tzaddik still needs to come out of his keli.
The tzaddik is Bagbola, exactly. Now, then he brought the Mishnah Chagiga. Shezeh Sheshaninu, that's number 44. This is the Tzemach Tzedek's word. He brings that Gemara.
That a keli gomer would be okay if it's just for truma, but for kodesh,
even though it's made by tahara,
yeah.
I mean, it's made by a chover. It's made by someone. A chover means literally a friend, but it refers to those who are scrupulous about the laws of tum and tahara. So it's made by tahara.
But nevertheless, it still wouldn't be good enough for kodesh kadosh.
But for what?
For kodesh,
Which is
korban.
Korban. So for truma, it's good enough. Doesn't require tefillah, but to use that vessel and put in the korban kodesh. So that requires again immersion. I told you halachically, the Gemara explains why. What's the fear? First, before we get to the Pnimius, the halacha, what is the fear? That maybe what? He made it b'tahara, so what are we concerned about?
Spit.
Huh?
Spit.
Very, very weit chashash that a number odet who was tomei, his spittle fell on it. He was talking to the chacham, asking him advice. The chacham is teaching him in the conversation. Some spittle falls from his mouth, and that's tomei. So that's the fear. It's a very fachshash. But when it comes to kodesh, we're concerned for that, and we have to immerse it again before it's used for kodesh. Before food from a korban, meat from a korban can be placed in it, or for that matter, to be used to make a korban mincha, a flour offering. So what's the inyan b'pnimius, truma and kodesh? The darg of truma is, and how is that conveyed in the word truma? The Maimon doesn't say, but we offer a suggestion. But what the Maimon states as a statement of fact, truma is what? Hafrashas ha'ora bilvat. So the word truma means two things. It means to separate So that's what he's saying here. It's only a separation, a ha'orah. It's only a ha'orah of Elikus. Whereas Kodesh, the famous quote from the Zohar, quoted frequently in Chassidus, number 45, the Zohar is talking about Shabbos and the weekday, and Shabbos is called Kodesh. And the Zohar says, Kodesh, Mila Bagarmei. That's the Mila Bagarmei, those three words. That's the famous quote. It's quoted constantly. And it means Mila,
Onto itself, a word unto itself.
not a word, not a word.
A thing.
A thing, a matter. The word Kodesh means something removed unto itself, removed, fundamentally removed. So Truma, we suggested yesterday, in addition to meaning aha ora hafrosha, the bracha when you say, when a person gives Truma, is lahafrish Truma, to separate Truma, implying that it's a separation, it's a ha'ora from the source. Whereas Kodesh is the source itself, removed fundamentally. I stress the word fundamentally because there's two dargas in removal, being removed. One is removed from something else, and then there's essentially removed. Where do we come across that idea of something that's the menucha of Shabbos, the dargas of menucha on Shabbos? There's menucha from rest, and there's essential menucha, not related to resting from work. That's Friday night. Remember, we learned on Shabbos on the menucha, the three dargas in menucha. At any rate, likewise here, so Kodesh means something fundamental and essentially removed. That's B'chol Ma'itcha. So in order for that to happen, you need another Tefillah. What's Tefillah? Immersion is bittul. How is it conveyed in the word Tefillah? The very letters, and also Bagashmias. A person immerses in the water, he disappears. The Tefillah is not kosher if there's part of him that's not completely submerged and disappeared. It's a rebirth, it's a return to the womb, and a Naya Mitzias emerges. But we suggested yesterday that the word Truma also means elevated. So it's not Kodesh. Elevated, it means elevated from something else. So that's like Sevev Kalalmi. But Kodesh is Ma'itcha, as you said in the end of the previous ois, that's a connection to the Eibishter himself. That's Yitzias Mitzrayim. That's B'chol Ma'itcha. Now the Maimah says here, look at the last words of or even the beginning of this ois, the last ois of ois Dalet. In order to come to B'chol Ma'itcha, there has to be the Yitziyim and Mitzarim Agvulim. It's separating a little bit. Because B'chol, what's the separation? It's not B'chol Ma'itcha going out of limitations. What does he mean? In order to achieve the Av B'chol Ma'itcha, Yitziyim Mitzarim Agvulim, you have to go out of that's one and the same thing. Is that not the point? Is that not Yitzias Mitzrayim synonymous with B'chol Ma'itcha? And he repeats it again at the end of this ois. Where he says, there is actually the other way around. At the end of this ois, he says that the person is it's not enough to B'chol Ma'itcha, or Mizeh Nimshecha Inyan the Yitzias Mitzrayim B'chol Echad V'Echad K'fi B'chinosei. So B'chol Ma'itcha precedes. Okay, so, just a simple pshat is, as he begins the ois, B'chol Ma'itcha is the ava that he feels. I once I met a Jew recently. We were talking, someone I know well. Not that I just met him. And he, very, very vulnerable and very intimate discussion. And I was in awe of this Jew that he mamish has Avos Hashem, and he's experienced Avos Hashem, love in the heart swelling, not an illusion. It's shaykh, my friends. That's actually he was talking b'chol levavcha without knowing what Darag he was describing was mamish the Darag b'chol levavcha. So it seems the inyan is that Pasha that in order the Av b'chol the experience of love. To experience that love, you've got to be ready, not just ready, but actually go out of one's Mitzrayim. I'm stuck in my Mitzrayim. Kelim shenigmarim betara, and fine. So the Tzias Mitzrayim, fundamentally, it just means the Gewalt and the breaking the boundary and just the total rejection of satisfaction, and I've arrived in Shleimus and any agendas and milas. And just the Gewalt to break it all, to transcend it all. That's the Keli for B'chol, then the actual relationship, the Ava B'chol Ma'itch. Okay, now he says in Oisei, we started that already. Oisei, we did the first paragraph. So Oisei explains that as a result of the Ava B'chol Ma'itch, the Torah mitzvahs, which when we pointed out the question yesterday, he said, the Torah mitzvahs B'chol Nafshecha. How could Torah mitzvahs B'chol? Torah mitzvahs Anoich Hashem Alekecha. Torah mitzvahs is Gilui Atzma. So the answer is, right? He said yesterday, the B'chol Nafshecha, what darg of Torah mitzvahs is that? He said, the B'chol Nafshecha, Zamshachim Lamayda Lamata, that's Torah mitzvahs as it fills the nefesh. So what darg of Torah mitzvahs are we talking about? Aspect of Torah mitzvahs are we talking about? Adam answered the question yesterday. You can answer it again.
It's the tzionistic aspect of it.
Yeah, chitzonius, but we don't mean to belittle that. The aspect of Torah mitzvahs that refines and fills, that has the agenda, the specific, every mitzvah has a specific agenda to elevate, refine, fill, complete, and so on. That aspect of the person, his body, his soul, and the world. But now, as a result of B'chol Ma'itcha, he says that's mamshech, a whole new inyan in Torah mitzvahs. And what's that? Not only the aspect of Torah mitzvahs that fills, but the actual connection to the Eibishter himself. Now, yesterday, Yankee asked, and you forgot to remind me, maybe you're going to, about, we used the parallel in the marriage. The beginning, of course, it's before marriage, Rishot B'chol, Levavcha, it's all fulfilling. And even B'chol Nafshecha. So what does B'chol Ma'itcha add? It doesn't take away from the first two danagas. It suffuses them. Yes, refined, and yes, experience, and yes, because that's what you want. Yeah, so Yankee asked, but she doesn't want that because you need to want it. He wants you to want it, not because I'm telling you should love me. So of course, what did we answer? We said, yeah, well, why am I loving you? Because it's you. If it's just I love, then I can love anybody. So it's got to be based on you. But be'emes, even deeper, she's right, and it is me, because what's the deepest ava? We're one, and it can't be any other way. It is paradoxically at the end, selfishly, in quotations, because that's you're me, and that's it. So loving you is me, in fact, in the deepest way. But in order to get that depth of me, where it's me is we, that's the bittul and the aveda that's described till now. That's the only way you get to the we. So you're right when you're picking up on the instinct. Don't love me because of me. I want you to love me. And in the Chanami, it's got to be a depth where in your heart, that's where I am. That's the Neshama, Mursa Shenatzmos. That's B'chol Ma'itcha. That's the highest darga. And that translates in many ways. That translates when there's like this. That's the true B'chira Chavshis in the sense that he's free from choice. It's not a choice. You have a choice about loving yourself, about a choice about being you. So he's free from choosing. This is who he is. It's the ultimate. That's a Mesiras Nefesh. That's not a struggle. It can't be any other way. It's not negotiable. It's not even thinkable. He doesn't even think of it in those terms. Sacrifice, no sacrifice. I'm a Yid, and that's it. And I'm a Yid as we. Me, Eibishter, me and my spouse, that's all one address. Okay, Yankee. Yeah. So now you can share this fully tonight at the Shabbos table or whenever you're going to share this.
He's going to be it.
Huh? What?
Doesn't have to share it. He has to be it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the biggest sharing. You don't have to say it. If you yeah, yeah. So the values there, we're going further. Interesting, I didn't really, it's going to give the Chas and Kaleb dynamic to explain all of this. So let's go further. We're now the second paragraph of Isai. Well, the value is, to understand this, we're just saying now again, more detailed, deeper and deeper. It's yes, Mitzrayim, B'chol Ma'itcha, how it transforms Yiddishkeit, the relationship, the Aveda, the Baal Tshuva, the higher than the Tzaddik Gomor even more detail. Why is to understand this, that the Tzemach Tzaddik prefaces and says, sometimes we find sometimes Torah is called the Chosin and Yidden are the Kala. Kedoshas Chazal, as the Medrash says, the Gemara says, sorry, it's a Mishnah, Sechta Tainis. It says in Shir Hashirim that go out, the daughters of Tzion, and see in the king Shlomo, b'yom chasanusay, in the day of his wedding, says the Pasuk, b'yom she'italayim, the day that his mother crowned him with a crown. So says the Mishnah, who is it referring to? Is Matan Torah? That's referring to what's the day? The wedding day is Matan Torah. So who's the Kala? Where the Kala? Shir Hashirim. The Mashmash, Ganesh Yisrael, Nekaras Kala, say Yidden other Kalas of where the Kala, then who's the Chosin? It's the Torah. If you can't have Torah, Nekaras Chosin, the Torah is the Chosin. That's one model. Sometimes we find the opposite. She saw him a Chosin, we are the Mashpia, the Chosin. Vatara, the Torah is the Kala. Kedrashas Chazal, like Chazal say in Gemara, Barachas Psachim, ala Pasuk, Torah Tziva Lano Moishe, Meirosha, the Torah which Moishe commanded us is the inheritance of the congregation of Yaakov. Says the Gemara, Tikru Meirosha Ela Meirosa, but they don't read inheritance, but the Shin becomes a Samach, Shin Sin becomes a Samach, and that means what? Morasa, the Torah is the consecration, the marriage. So who is the Chosin? We are the Chosin. And we marry the Torah, which is the Kala. So he gave us the Torah, gave us the Kala. He engaged us, he wedded us. Al Tikra Meirosh Al Mirosa, the Pasuk means that the Torah which Moshe gave us, he wedded us to the Torah. So we're the Chosin, and the Torah is what? The Kala. Yeah? So how do you reconcile this? Who's who? Achrinyan who's explained to Tzemach Tzedek. Yeah, question's clear, yeah? Sheshnei memes both are true. Shem Bezi Fanim B'limedat Torah, there's two ways in learning Torah. We'll learn this together, friends. The Gemara says, Psachim, and this is explained with Rashi, Sherav Sheishes Omar. Rav Sheshes said about Torah, Chadoi Nafshi, my soul rejoices. L'chakori, I read you. L'chatanoi, it's clear. That's Mishnah. Rashi explains, B'shvilcha u'letzercha shanis, for you and for your need, I learn and I read. Mavur Gemara, so the Gemara explains, Shom shinizel v'ascholas al-limud. That's the beginning. That's the motivation. Delighting in Torah. That's the beginning of learning Torah. Just not sure of that sounds like not for self. I'm going to look up the Gemara. At any rate, so the Gemara says Mikarikov at Yiddish, when a person first serves, Adaited Nafshikov, it's selfish. It's for himself, for his own gain. That's what's conveyed here. The enjoyment and the pleasure in learning Torah. But afterwards, So the learning has to be lishma. So there's two levels of learning. That's going to explain who's chasen and who's kala. And the matter is as follows. So when the learning is for his own self, so who's the recipient here? Is the nefesh receives from the Torah and receiving and filled by Torah shehid, the Torah b'chinas mashpia, the mashpia. So in that model, which is the beginning of Avodah, Nikras HaTorah Chasen, who's the mashpia is the Torah, v'knas Yisrael kala. Torah fills me. That's Shaloi Lishma. That's the Shaloi Lishma here is the pleasure, the enjoyment. But when he learns for Torah's sake itself, what does that mean? So this is explained in Tanya. To draw Hashem, the Ein Sof, into Torah. The Zohar says about David, David HaMelech connects and draws. That's the big chidush. That's the real chidush. He draws into Torah the Eibishter. What does it mean? Pashat, Torah is externally, it's seichel, it's teaching, it's ideas, it's morality, it's ethics, it's all these descriptive and wonderful properties. What does he draw into it? The author, the bligvol, the Eibishter himself. That's the avodah v'yid, is to reveal the author ultimately in the Torah. As Yisrael, him b'chinas chasan, said here, yid not a chasan. Hamashpiu, mamshich, ba'Torah she'akala, they draw into Torah, which is the recipient, the kala, Ein Sof, the giver of Torah, the highest levels. So this, touching the Eibishter beyond the wise author of the Torah, but the Eibishter himself, how does a Yid learn Torah like this when his whole relationship is so love is b'chol ma'itcha b'ligvul? Again, it's not about any agenda, it's about you, or even deeper, a place where we are one. When you learn as a result of the Ava b'chol ma'itcha, so what's the nature of his learning? It's in such a way, he's arousing and revealing the Infinite One, drawn into his words, into his teaching. That's the level of Chachma, that's the overt, basic definition of Torah. It's wisdom. That Aisim Chachma Nafka, says the Zohar, Torah emerges from the Darg of Chachma. But compared to the Eibush, that's Ishtal Shalosh. Nechshavs HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kasiyah Gufris, at the end of the day, Chachma compared to the Eibush is in the same plane as physical action. Moshe Kosev, Kulam Chachma Asisa, all of them. And he equates b'chachma asisa, that the asisa and the chachma is all one. In the face of you, it's all one, and that's this level of the Ein Sof. That's what a Yid is mamshech when he learns Torah, fueled by the Av of b'chol ma'itcha. That's the midah. Let's go further. Again, his mitzvahs is transformed. Because there's two levels of mitzvahs too, just like two levels of Torah, Shalei Lishma and Lishma, there's two levels of mitzvahs. Shesh Beish P'nez Mitzvahs Havaya, there's Mitzvahs Havaya, as the Pasuk says, in the third Parsha of the Shema, or Mitzvah say Stam, and then there's my Mitzvah Stam undefined. Higher is Mitzvah Sai, my mitzvahs. And he explains, mitzvahs havaya, krelam mitzvahs kshudim shach misham havaya. The mitzvahs of havaya, the mitzvahs they're drawn down in ishtal shalos through the letters of Yudke Vavke. Again, that's mitzvahs in terms of agenda, fixing and refining and so on. And he adds in brackets, Kimrumas B'Tevas mitzvah. This is a fascinating thing. Looks like this is not from the Tzemach Tzedek, where he sends us to the Tikkun Zayan. That brings it like this. Ki, look at the word mitzvah. It's mem tzadik vav hey. Ki mem tzadik ba'at bash hu yudke. So you know what at bash is. Make the chesed. At bash is, you take the aleph base. Aleph taf, beis gimel. I'm still beis gimel. Beis shin, and so on. So you'll do it. You'll see that the hey matches with the tzadik, and the yud with the mem. 22 letters. You line them up 11 on one side, 11 on the other, starting at the ends. So at the bottom, if you got Chaf and Lamed, right? At the end, if you got the two meet, the two that meet. So the Yud, the Hey and the Tzadik, and the Yud and the Mem. So Mem Tzadik there for Ba'at Bash is Yud and Hey. Tzadik is Hey, and Mem is Yud. And then you have the Vav Hey. So the very word mitzvah is hinted Yud Ke Vav Ke. You follow that, folks? I'll make a graph and send you. You can do it yourself. Bin Kain, mitzvah shemavaya. So we see that mitzvah shemavaya. Sheyesh beidal dois. That's tam mitzvah. 4 letters. Every letter has a shape and form. It's amshocha. Chochma is yud, and hey is bin, and vav is a 6 midas, and the last day is malchus. For the chayin gam mitzvah shemshocha mehem in bagbola. Mitzvah savaya is that level of mitzvahs which is bagbola with an agenda. It addresses ishtalshalus, it's bislapshus, and malakalam. My mitzvah isai, my mitzvah stam, b'chinas mitzvah shemel, my mitzvah vakbola, that's mitzvah sign mitzvah vakbola, and this a yid reaches. This is a result of b'chol ba'itcha. But the ava b'chol ba'itcha transforms his limit Torah, a whole higher level, where he becomes the mashpia, he's the chosen. It's not what he gets from Torah, but he gives to Torah, what he gives to the Eibishter. And then mitzvahs are not stam mitzvahs, mitzvahs avai. So now let's continue. וזהו הפרש בין קבלת אל מצוות שבא לאחרי קבלת אל מלכות שמיים באופן חום באיתך. So this is what the Mishnah said. Why does Vayim Shemayim, when we say the Kriya Shema come after the Shema, since we do not say the whole Kriya Shema, we do not say it in chronological order as it appears in the Torah. So the Mishnah answered in order they should have Kabbalah Sebachar Shemayim and then mitzvahs. Kabbalah Sebachar Shemayim is the first parsha, and mitzvahs is the second. Then we understand. So this means we have Moshe Shemayim Shabbalach Kabbalah. So the mitzvahs that comes after Kabbalah Sebachar Shemayim, Beifin Mechol Ba'itcha, it's conveyed in the first parsha of the Shema. Vayalakin Vayachod Mechol Ba'itcha. The beginners, in contrast to Mechol Nafshecha, a kind of Torah mitzvahs that only is fueled by Levavcha Nafshecha. Shaydei Torah mitzvah Shabbalach Ahav B'chol Levavcha. Belvad, if it's only, you said before, nafshecha is Torah mitzvahs, Torah mitzvahs radiates all levels of the soul. So when it comes only after b'chol levavcha, that's one level of mitzvahs. But when it comes after b'chol ba'eitcha, it's a whole different level of mitzvahs. Kasher avoidi b'chol levavcha, when the avoida is with this limit because of the pleasure, the enjoyment, and the refinement and the experienced gain. On all these levels, as a gam shachshat Torah mitzvahs, the level of Torah mitzvahs that he's connecting to is likewise limited. Therefore, and what's he connecting to? What level of Torah is he connected? Not the anoiche of Torah, but the chachma level, the articulated level. For mitzvahs say mitzvahs avai, and the mitzvahs avai, not mitzvah isai. Havel kasher avodah b'chol ba'eitcha, but the avodah is as a result of him going out of his limitations. It's constantly demanding of himself and pushing himself, and there's no room for satisfaction. I mean, we saw this with the dollars, it was just a very ridiculous thing, no matter who they came in contact with. Each one, he said before, this is shaykh ta'amayinam. And the emphasis is dafke shaykh ta'as on the lower level, because it's very clear we've got to break out of our limitations. They're not good. So it's much easier. But everybody that came by for dollars, you see, consider b'chol ma'itcha. Beautiful stories over and over again that people think they're going to come with great news, and once Rebbe told it's a beautiful story. Then the gem video was the Machli Soul Development Fund, and she was I think the president of New York Federation. Became this got up to Lubavitch. They just gave a big donation, $100,000. Rebbe smiles and he says, "Do you think I'll be satisfied with this? To hear this? Do you really think something like that? Do you really?" But with a beautiful, loving smile. No matter what, because this is our tach, it's not the icing on the cake. This is what the Eibishter is waiting for. So this is Marim Dakbalish and Nimshach Bechinas. But Torah here, he's drawing into Torah. Bechinas Eirin Sav Shalom Marim Mecham. The Eibishter is saying, I want you to fix my Torah, transform it. It's not simply this tremendous wisdom and seichel and learning and all the ilam haba and the ilam hazard, all tzemes. But Gewalt reveal in it the truth. It's me I'm giving you. That's what the Eibishter ask. You be the mashpia in Torah. Tell the world what it is. It's not another religion with the deepest philosophy. Mitzvahs and mitzvahs side and my mitzvahs. That's the avoid. Okay, but wait, the guys are getting on. Ari's, fellas have already joined. All right, so we'll continue Be'ezrat Hashem on Monday. The Mashiach, the mind will continue. Be these galos, and when we'll listen, and Mashiach will talk. That Rashab said that once. Mashiach will come, he'll talk, and we'll all happily listen.